Venus at 20 degrees is sending a sweet trine to Uranus. The week of October 30th, the 7 days following the date on the chart. We'll look at some of the finer points and some of the planets that I think are going to be relevant. It does pay off well to have your own chart in your hands, because only you know what's in your chart, right? And only you know if when something is angling in a certain way, if it's going to affect you. But here's some secrets. Let's look at all the energy in Scorpio. You see that? A buttload of energy in Scorpio. So when we know we got a buttload of energy of any sign, we just got to understand its qualities. Scorpio is fixed energy. Okay. So when we know we got a lot of fixed energy, we're paying attention to the other fixed signs. Okay. And the other fixed signs are Leo, Taurus, and Aquarius. Okay. So what squares Scorpio? Why do I say square? Because the squares are where you get the stress and the tension. Okay. And that's normally where we're feeling, sometimes we're really challenged and we are so truly forced, like it's like a no, or it takes extra 3, 4, 5 steps to get something done or accomplish a task, right? It's kind of like when you're in the middle of a Mercury retrograde and the frustration, you press a button and it doesn't work. You press it 4 or 5 more times, it doesn't work. I mean, obviously it could be a lot worse. That's just because we don't have any patience anymore. Stress and tension in terms of you have a schedule and you wanted to do something. You have a date on the calendar and you've been planning this for months. And then all of a sudden, you go there or you get a phone call and there's a cancellation. It's the room's not available. The car's not available. Somebody got sick, whatever. There's a cancellation. Now, is that a huge deal? Not necessarily, but well, it would be if it was, I don't know, your wedding day or, something really big that you've been planning for a long time. The fixed signs do not like a change, a sudden change. They're like, hey, wait a minute. I need notice with changes, right? I need notice. So that's the thing about the fixed energy. We're just coming off of Libra and Virgo, flexible and willing to start new things. But Scorpio is going to be more rooted in, things that they've always done, right? Things that they are secure with and familiar with because it's Scorpio energy. And so there's some depth to it and some vulnerabilities. And typically that sort of energy, they may have a very hard time trusting, and it may take a long time to develop trust with them. They've been hurt. They've been wounded, right? So it's a slow build. It's a slow process of revealing who I am, a slow process. So in that, the squares and the angles, Leo and Aquarius. So that's going to kind of just give us a cover, right? I've been trying to do that for this whole month, where it's just trying to give us that heads up of these are the energies that exist for the fixed signs. Now with Taurus, it is also fixed, but it's in opposition. Okay. It's in opposition. And we already have the same, we've got Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus. So we have been experiencing the stress and the tension with our values, with our finances, with our money, your money in your own bank, the jobs, the financial markets, the banks in general. It's the stress and attention of our values and earth. Taurus energy is all about the earth, right? It's an earth sign. So it's all about the earthly matters and the challenges that Uranus is bringing to it. AI Uranus, right? Digital dollar, crypto Uranus. This is why it's like, okay, what is going on? What is this newfangled thing they're talking about, right? Going away from gold, right? Going away from paper money. And now it's like, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Some digital shit that you can't even hold. If you can't hold it, you don't own it, right? Well, times are changing. Times are changing. And so it's a challenge. It's a challenge. It says, wait a minute. I want things to stay the same. I know that this is what stability looks like in my world. And if you rock my boat, it causes problems for me. And that's, we're all experiencing it. So we're all going through it together. And some of us may be a little bit more difficult, more occurrences than the others. I just wanted to paint the overall picture of the fixed energies and their stresses. And you see the sun in Scorpio, right? It's at 6 degrees. Now, 6 degree sun, we know that we just had an eclipse and it was at 5 degrees. It was a lunar eclipse in Taurus, which means the sun had to be in Scorpio at 5 degrees and the moon was at 5 degrees in Taurus. Okay. So now you see it's a couple days later and bam, the sun moves 1 degree a day. So 2 days later, you see the sun at 7 degrees. That makes sense, right? Right? It's simple. It makes sense. 1 degree a day. That one's an easy one. The planets all move at a different rate of speed. And technically, the sun is not a planet. We call it a luminary, right? Because it's not a planet. If it's angling, which means it's squaring, that's that red line I drew in. If it's squaring anything you have over here in Leo, right? And there's by transit, we've got something at 4 degrees. So it's not a big, huge deal. We don't have a lot of planets in Leo, but look in your own chart. You might have something. The sun would represent an authority figure. For some of you, this can be an adult in your life, meaning it could be mom or dad. It could be a boss at the job. Whoever somehow has authority over you. Some people say a person of the cloth, the clergy. When you're out in public, who has authority over you? If you're in your car, who has authority over you? The police officers have authority over you, right? And so we kind of think of it in that way. Who's the boss in this situation? Wherever I go, wherever I'm at, who's the boss here, right? You walk into a store, who's the boss? Where's the manager? I want to speak to the manager, right? So there's an authority person typically wherever we go. There's somebody that is a person of authority. We're going to look at Aquarius real quick and see if we got anything down there. We do. We have Chericlo at 8:47. This means the sun is squaring Chericlo on this day, right? And what is Chericlo? Chericlo is somebody who's witnessing wounds, witnessing shit that someone else is going through. This can be mental, this can be emotional and physical also, right? It's an Aquarius, and Aquarius is astrology, but it's also group energy and it's friends. It can be digital groups, but literally physical groups, like quantities, groups of people. We think of mass transportation when we think of Aquarius. We think of inventions, airplanes, inventions, trains, things that where we can travel as a group, right? And so that's Aquarius energy, science, inventors. These are people who are scientists, people who are these metaphysicists, people who can just put 2 and 2 together way faster than I can and do a whole lot of other things. And they're amazing. They're the Teslas, the Da Vinci's, right? They're the Wright brothers, like all these other great names. Put some in down below if you can think of some awesome inventions that we benefit from today that involve groups of people, transportation, ships. But it's not just about transportation. Aquarius energy is inventions in general. So we can think of like the space station, right? Right, because this is space. This is out there. Think of Aquarius and that scientist and the inventors, right? These people had these unbelievable ideas, right? The unbelievable ideas, discussing ideas, things that are out and beyond convention. It expands our mind. It pushes it to the limit to say, but that's never been done before. That's right. That's where you see Aquarius energy in your life. So it's individual power too, but not just as in plugging in the battery into my phone, individual power, but literally my individual power, right? People literally going off grid, people standing alone, people saying, you know what, I want to be independent, right? And people coming together with others of like-mindedness and likely being within those groups, because Aquarius is also unions. It's where we are groups of people, but we're organized. Why am I saying organized? Because the ancient ruler of Aquarius is Saturn. Saturn is the ancient ruler of Aquarius, along with, Uranus is a ruler, but Saturn is the ancient ruler. So we always got to remember to think about how do we organize people, which I mentioned in one video about communes and people getting together with like-minded people, living together and being super alternative, super progressive. That's Aquarius energy. It's pushing the envelope. It's doing something that hasn't been done. All right. So we think of people who are just want to truly stand out and find ways to use their unconventional ideas. When Cheroklo is there, Cheroklo is witnessing the wounds of the group, witnessing the wounds of humanity. This is social causes, civics, my civil rights, Aquarius energy, my civil rights, right? And so the sun is squaring this. That's a stress and tension. Remember, the sun is an authority figure, all right? So do you have something in your chart in the fixed signs? The sun in Scorpio, it's going to be about I'm strong, I'm forcing an issue, because it's Scorpio, so it's going to be very powerful and intense. And it says, Scorpio's energy is going to fight for something. You follow? It's going to fight for something. So there's a little bit of a friction here for sure, because it's something about group energy and something about the people. And this definitely could be unions for sure. I know we got a lot of strikes in the US happening. And when we think of EVs, or we think of inventions, the automobile, and we think of the UAW, we think of, we can think of quite a few different groups where there's some of that battling still going on. I pointed out with the fixed signs because the fixed sign squares, I think they tend to be a little bit more difficult because they don't want to budge, and they got the power to fight. They got the power to be like, no, I was here first. You move, right? Or no, this is my spot. Or hell no, this is my territory. This is my turf. Like, this is the fixed signs they are notorious for being quite stubborn and fixed in their ways. And then Mercury in Scorpio. Scorpio is a super psychic sign. So when you got Mercury in Scorpio, you should likely expect your intuitions and the likelihood of the other side stepping through a lot easier. Scorpio is the astral realm. So when we think of dead loved ones, when we call like the ghost season, right? Halloween, it's October time for sure. And it's Scorpio time. It's the time when the other side's, the veil thins, and we can communicate and be more aware of something that is there that we might not necessarily physically see with our naked eye, but we feel it, right? So Mercury in a trine with Nessus and with Sirius adds ease to something occurring. So if you've got something in the water signs, there might be something beneficial. You have to look at some other things in your charts, check it out to see. But this Mercury is going to move. Mercury is going to be sitting here at 24, which means Mercury will start off on a trine to Neptune. Because what does that mean then, right? When you got Mercury trining Neptune, it's Mercury in my mind. It's Neptune. Illusions and delusions. Holy crap. What's that going to be? We'll talk about that next week. We see Venus is in Virgo here. Venus is there, right there. Virgo at 20 degrees. This is an earth sign. Virgo is earth. Venus can bring peace to all things Virgo. But Venus isn't just peace and harmony. Venus is my values, my desire, how I receive. Venus is your money, your values. In Virgo energy, we think of people working and their jobs and their tasks and making money for the things that they do, for the services that they provide. Venus. In Virgo, we think of domestic services, things that aren't real flashy. It's not white collar worker. It's maybe janitorial services, housekeeping, gardening, right? We think of nurses' aides. We think of home health care aides, right? We think of people who are in the service industry in general, right? Maybe there's some people making more money than they were making before. Venus traveling through the earth sign. This is the service industry. What's the service industry? Hotel industry, car rental industry, service industry, food, grocery store. Remember when there was the pandemic and everybody had to stay home from work except for those that were part of like the must need industry? Well, sure. It was like the nurses and the EMTs and stuff like that, right? The police officers. These people are all serving the public in some way, but also the food people, a big deal, right? So this Venus is at 2021 here, and she's going to move, and she'll still be in Virgo in the 7 days time. She's still going to be in Virgo, but she's going to move to, she moves about 8 degrees roughly. So she'll be at 28 degrees in Virgo here. All right. Venus will be sitting here at 28 degrees. she'll be squaring the galactic center. The galactic center is in Sagittarius. So here's all the Virgo stuff. And Sagittarius is a square to Virgo. We have Hermes at 28. And then there's the galactic center right next to Hermes. Galactic center, very slow mover. So it's still at 27 and it will stay there. A square, Venus in the galactic center squaring. Now, the galactic center is considered a point of need. And it comes down to what do we need and what kind of needs are we talking about? Well, it has to do with the future because it's Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is all about my future, but it's also my beliefs, right? Your philosophy on life. So we think of religion and spirituality, right? We think of ethics and morality, philosophy on life, right? The galactic center. This is higher learning, higher education. This is also the judicial system and judges, right? Venus squaring the galactic center. This is after the eclipse. Venus is at 20 degrees, right? Right. Venus is going to move to around 25, 26 degrees, and she'll start squaring the galactic center. So that is going to be Venus squaring the galactic center, Venus squaring the galactic center, jobs, right? Because it's Venus in Virgo, healthcare, Venus in Virgo, cleanliness, services, people who go into other people's home to provide services, or people who are the staff, people who do housekeeping, wherever that is. You know, it's laundry, it's cleaning, it's hygiene, it's health, alternative health and health routines. Remember, the people that are definitely needed, that make this world go around, the ones where they're kind of behind the scenes and we don't think that they're important until we don't have our clean clothing or we don't have our fruits and vegetables picked, right? Those kind of people, right? But in your world, in your life, we'll see. It's a Venus thing, though. Values, money might play a role in it. Feminine energy, it's Venus in Virgo. We're going to say it's like November 3rd, 4th, and 5th, okay? So November 3rd, 4th, and 5th for that Venus squaring the galactic center. Because if it's a need, galactic center, the beliefs about my future, and Venus is involved, somehow finances are usually going to be involved, and jobs, interest rates, you know, that's what they've been waiting on, a less than stronger jobs report, blah, blah, blah. Don't want to talk anymore about that. But this week, we started off with Venus at 20. So what's Venus doing at 20 degrees? Venus at 20 degrees is sending a sweet trine to Uranus. Now Venus is trining Uranus at 21. What does that mean? Venus and Uranus trining at 21 degrees. Well, Venus is money and finances. It is jobs. It is the domestic jobs. It's the little people. It's scheduling. It's organizing. It's cleanliness. It's all those Venus keywords I gave, right? But it's the health. The health. Remember the health of our money, because it's Venus, and it's the health of a thing. The health, usually the digestion. So if we have Venus now in Virgo, there might be more additional information that's giving us a better, truer indicator of the state of our money, of our financial systems, Venus in Virgo, and it's being trined by Uranus. Remember, Uranus is a disruptor. Uranus likes to send shocks to the system. So definitely an authority figure, Uranus, definitely interest rates being hiked yet again, for sure, I would think here, because Uranus sends shocks to the system. So when I say shocks, does that mean the interest rates get raised a little bit more than people thought? I don't know. I don't want to speculate. All I'm saying is this is someone who is the authority figure, and they can likely send a shock to the financial system there. All right. So 17 degrees for Mars, 17 degrees in fixed energy. Again, anytime you're hearing me talk about the Scorpio stuff, there's nothing by transit in Leo or Aquarius squaring, right? So you just got to check your chart at home and see if there anything is. It's quick because it's Mars, so don't be too concerned about it. But remember, whenever Mars is in Scorpio, it's stronger when it comes to fighting. It will fight for what it believes in. And it's not fighting alone, right? This is a soldier energy. It has shared values with other. It will band together. It's the band of brothers type of thing, right? And it will fight. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Here comes Taffy. I heard her jump.